The featured company is a paid client of Proactive Group Holdings, and this recording is disseminated by Proactive on its behalf.
We should be breaking ground into the L10 first, just to get a drill rig space here in the next 3 to 4 weeks, and then following that, moving back over to the hinge and starting development into the lower part of that and starting to look at actually mining it.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by 1911 Gold CEO Shaun Heinrichs. Shaun, good to speak with you. Your latest drilling confirms the model at True North. How much confidence does that give you as you move towards restarting the mine?
Thanks, Stephen. I appreciate the opportunity to give you a debrief on the news release this morning. It's nice to put things in context, and it's hard to get everything out of a news release. So our underground drill program, as everybody kind of knows, or if they read the news release, is aware that started in the fall. We've been very productive, drilled well over 10,000 meters now underground. We've had a bit of a backlog in getting assays, but now we're starting to get a pretty steady flow, so there should be a lot of updates kind of in the pipeline here. This particular set of drill holes was really around two specific targets. These targets were ones that we'd actually identified and discussed as potential bulk sample / test mining targets that we could tackle in 2026. Still in the cards for us. So when we put the drills down in the underground, the first one in particular, the goal there was to start doing infill drilling on these two targets. Both of which also would be, just even if we didn't do them as a bulk sample this year, would fall into that first year to 2 years of production for us anyway. So these were areas we definitely wanted to get to. So what does that mean for us? Look, we've got a significant amount of measured and indicated resource already in our resource. We call it all indicated in our report because we were not able to access underground and verify some historical voids. But there is a significant amount of measured already in there. And what we need to do to increase that level of measure now is to take our drill spacing a little tighter, between 12 to 15 meters of spacing. Indicated for us is 30 meters typically, and measured is around that 12 to 15 meters. And that's what this drill program really did. The hinge vein in particular sits in a different host rock unit. And is historically known to do a little bit more pinching and swelling than what you'd find in the gabbro. The gabbro tends to be a little bit more consistent. So this drill program was even more important to see how consistent that grade was as we completed that infill program. So we were very surprised, pleasantly surprised and happy, obviously, to find areas that were wider than what was in the previous model. It's not a complete unexpected item, just given the nature of that vein. We actually had some areas which were narrower. So it's a bit of give and take, but mostly getting, which was nice. So for us, it gives us a really strong foundation to proceed with development, particularly on these two target areas. L10 was a second large target for us. Those holes were initially just confirmation holes, areas where the drill spacing was a little bit less than ideal for us to feel confident about mining them. Now we filled that in. We're now going to proceed to do initial development into the L10 vein to place a second drill rig in there and complete that infill program. The hinge vein, though, we did complete the infill on it, really just because we had the drill, it was there. We were waiting on other areas, and it felt like the most productive use of our time and capital. So that's one we can also now proceed on development and start to look at. And we should be breaking ground into the L10 first, just to get a drill rig space here in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And then following that, moving back over to the hinge and starting development into the lower part of that and starting to look at actually mining it. And that's going to be a big, launching point for us this year. So,
Shaun, you're planning bulk sampling and test mining later this year. What are the key milestones investors should watch next?
Yeah, and look, for everybody's using both phrases. The real difference there is just what we're going to report on in terms of reconciling to. So the bulk sample is something that we're going to put a nice ribbon around, basically, and do a proper grade reconciliation, a proper report on recoveries through the mill, mining recovery, validation of our plans around mining those areas, whereas test mining is just us getting in there and doing early mining, early development in advance of the full 2027 startup. So both of those are going to produce gold ounces for us in the current year, but it's just that first one is we're really going to be disciplined around reporting and reconciling and going back on for investors. So the key milestones for us obviously is going to be that initial, blasting underground. First time in over 8 years there's been a round blasted underground at True North. We expect that to happen here in the next 4 to 6 weeks. The second big thing is the first stopes pulled out of there. Those could be development, those could be ore. That'll likely happen a little bit later into late Q2, early Q3. And then continued progress thereafter. We'll start initially with one crew advancing into the one area. We'll move that crew over from L10 over to Hinge and start advancing in that area, and then look towards the late third quarter, early fourth quarter to bring in a second crew. And then there's going to be a logical ramp up and progression of additional crews thereafter as we get into 2027. So all of those are items that we're going to report on and make sure people are aware of our progress. Our quarterly reporting, even from a financial perspective, is now going to include a lot more around development and advances with respect to development. So there's going to be a lot more information to look at and review, which is some exploration, but a lot more around this mine expansion, mine production.
Well, Shaun, I hope you'll continue to keep us updated with your progress. Thank you very much for taking the time today.
No problem, Stephen. Thank you very much.
Shaun Heinrichs, he's the CEO of 1911 Gold.
The featured company is a paid client of Proactive Group Holdings, and this recording is disseminated by Proactive on its behalf. It is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice, an offer, or a solicitation to buy or sell any securities. Viewers should conduct their own research and consult a qualified financial advisor before making investment decisions. The views expressed are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of Proactive Group Holdings, trading as Proactive Investors, or its affiliates. No responsibility is accepted for any loss arising from reliance on the information presented.